Welcome to iWRITE Summer Camp TV. I'm Melissa Williams-Murphy, and this is my writing buddy, I the Guy, who also happens to be the mascot at the iWRITE organization, and we believe that all kids are creative and have a story to share. Each week this summer, you're gonna go on a creative adventure with us as we learn how to create characters and stories from professional authors and illustrators. Some of them are even kids. All you need is a pencil and some paper. Now, if you need extra activities to do throughout the week after camp, be sure to visit our website at www.iwrite.org. We have all kinds of creative writing and illustration activities that you can download. So I the Guy, what are we gonna learn today? Awesome. So let's get started. But before we do, let's have all the kids at home meet kids just like them who have become published authors at iWRITE. I the Guy. Today is Poetry Day at iWRITE, and we're going to be talking about one of my favorite things, turning animals into story characters. There's so many ways to find something that our readers will connect to. Speaking of connecting, let's hear from one of our iWRITE published authors who loves connecting to her readers through poetry.
My name is Mariah Adeyaka. Today, I will be reading one of my poems from the 9th edition of the iWRITE anthology. Here is my poem, Ways to Feel Blue and Blithe All Over. Part 1, Blue. Drink almond juice even though you're allergic. It's better to want to know how burning up inside feels, instead of waiting to be healed on the outside. Get the opposite effect of what you originally wanted, even though you know what the outcome will be. Be weak while pretending to be strong. Someday, you'll think people will look up to you for it, despite always thinking, no they won't, they never will. Part 2, Blithe. Try to be meaningful with your love and express it through gemstones and candied licorice. Even though you know the taste and texture won't come out all that right, everyone around you will still appreciate your effort. Feel happiness unaidedly, and somehow help others in the process. Grow confectionaries around your head to show your family how much they mean to you. Adore others without having to adore in return. Finish the leftover cake that the person on your speed dial left you for your 30th birthday. Part 3, Views. Hear these words. Build your own happiness. Plant magenta and cyan in your psyche. Let the TV reflect your thoughts. Be humane in your own way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mariah. Our author used second-person point of view and a creative way to connect and almost challenge her reader to think about things from a different perspective in each of her stanzas. This is the perfect time to talk a little bit more about point of view before we hear from our next author. Point of view is basically how we tell the story. There's first person POV, short for point of view, second person POV, and third person POV. And there's two different types for third person, called limited or omniscient. Let's go ahead and look at each of them separately. When we use first person point of view, we're going to use words like I, me, my, mine, myself. Those are all singular. And we, us, our, ours, those are plural. And there's I the guy pointing to himself since he's using first person point of view. This type of POV allows us to talk about ourselves in the story because it's almost like we can pretend to become the character in the story. And it's like we're inside the book acting out the story. You know, we can even look through the eyes of the character inside the story when we're using first person point of view. It's the same for poems too. And technically, some poems are just stories in poetic form. Now let's talk about second person point of view. That's the POV that Mariah used in her poem because she used words like you, your, and yours. Did it feel like the author was speaking directly to you, the reader, while we were listening to her poem? That's because it was second person point of view. Let's check out a few of my favorite lines from Mariah's poem just to see how many you, your, or yours we can find. On the first line, we see your love, and then we have you know. On the last line, we have you will and your effort. This poem is definitely written in second person point of view. Now it's time for the big one, and also the most popular, third person point of view. In this point of view, you're going to be using words like he, him, his, himself, she, her, hers, herself, it, its, itself. Those are all singular. And the plural versions of those words are they, them, their, theirs, and themselves. And don't forget, you can also use your character's name when writing in third person point of view. In third person point of view, the author, who's also the narrator, tells the story about the characters using their names and the pronouns listed above. So in third person point of view, it's like we're watching the characters as the reader, as opposed to being the character. Now remember, there are two different types of third person point of view. The first one here, limited, which is my favorite to write in, is just as the name says, it's limited because the narrator and the reader follow the main character and only share the thoughts of the main character. I like this type of point of view because it's clean and in my opinion, it's easier to follow than the second type, which is omniscient. And just like the word itself, all-knowing, this means that the narrator and the reader know all of the thoughts and feelings of all of the characters in the story. So what does that mean? It means in a story where I, the guy, is the main character, and you, the writer, tells the reader how excited he is for his birthday party, you can also share that secondary character, his little sister Lil I, had been secretly planning a surprise party and couldn't wait to see her brother's reaction. Now, the reader knows even more than the main character. Do you see why omniscient is called all-knowing? So here's a rule of thumb. When you're writing, just don't switch between your points of view. Stick to either first, second, third person limited, or third person omniscient in the entire story. Now let's hear from another iWRITE author to see how she connects to her readers through poetry.
Hi, my name is Katie and I'm from Houston, Texas. And today I'm reading my poem, Starry Sky. And I wrote it because I often wonder about what an outsider looking in would think of us, and if they could see faults that we could see. Starry sky, what do you see when you look down at the earth and see the universal sphere we have created? Our galactic rock that hovers in the center of silver gemstone rings, while pearly comets dance around the world, and diamonds glitter in the velvet depths. Starry sky, what do you see when you look down at the people and see the kings upon their golden thrones claiming that they own you, and all that you can see, and all those trapped by storied history in this silver foil nation? Starry sky, what do you see when you look down at the swirling storm and see the fog around the world that renders us lethargic, encompassing our all we know and thick comforters of darkness? Starry sky, is there a light, a flashlight in this marbled night, A spotlight on this crowded stage. Starry sky, do you see light? Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. Did you notice our author used the word you, which is what we use when speaking in second person point of view, but she was technically speaking to the starry sky. She also asked the reader to think from the perspective of the sky looking down on Earth. Now that's creative. As a kid, I always had a deep connection to animals. That's probably why my first few books were inspired by my childhood pet iguana and turtle. Today, we're going to use our pets or even a favorite animal to get inspired too. So let's hear from author Joy Sewing, who used her 2 pet boxers who were rescue dogs as the inspiration for her book, Ava and the Prince. I can't wait.
Hi, my name is Joy Sewing, and I am a journalist with the Houston Chronicle, and I'm also a children's book author. My book is Ava and the Prince, The Adventures of 2 Rescue Pups. And right here, you'll find Ava. I'm giving her a little treat, a little cheap piece of cheese. And so I hope you enjoyed the book. Long before I was free to be me, I was a lonely boxer named Foxy. I didn't look like a fox. I didn't feel like one either. But I wanted a home that would be a real keeper. I had a place and a bed and somewhere to lay my head, but I belonged to a family who could not see all of the great things that were inside of me. I liked to play, they didn't like to play. I liked to jump, they didn't like to jump. I liked to wiggle, they didn't like my jiggle. I liked to lick, they thought I was sick. One day they sent me far away to find a new home where I could run and play. I was scared, I didn't want to go, but I wanted to be where I could live and grow. At my new shelter where I stayed were dogs like me, hoping to play. They wanted a place, a home and a place to grow, somewhere they could plan for a better tomorrow. A pretty lady with pretty shoes saw me there and noticed I was blue. Her smile was like sunshine over a hilltop. She even smelled like lemons and gumdrops. She liked my brown eyes that spoke without talk. She liked my fur and the way I walked. She looked at me, I looked at her. She rubbed my head and played with my fur. You don't look like a fox, she said. You need a new name that you will never dread. You look like an Ava, so glamorous and fun. A dog that brings happiness to everyone. She took me home and gave me a bed and a silver bowl from which I was fed. She gave me treats, she gave me toys. She said I could make lots of noise. At my new home with my new name, I played lots of indoor and outdoor games. I wiggled and jiggled and licked and licked. My new mom said I was the perfect fit. One day my mom was busy on the phone, and so I decided to play on my own. She liked shoes, it was plain to see. She had pretty ones and pretty hues right in front of me. I liked shoes too. They smelled like melons, so sweet, like one of those ooey gooey, chewy dog treats. I pulled on them and twisted them to and fro. I gnawed on the heels and chomped on the toes. When my mom discovered what I did, she started to yell, and I ran and hid. You must learn the rules of the house right now. You cannot play with my things unless I allow. You need a brother so you can run and play and make loud noises all of the day. A brother? I asked, but I like shoes and toys. I don't want a brother to steal my joy. Her mind was made up, she said with a smile. She wanted another pup who had lots of style. It didn't take long to find one who looked like me. He had golden fur and brown eyes to see. He had been wandering around without a home. He was small and frail and so alone. His name was Sam, like ham or jam, but he didn't look like a Sam, but he was sweet like jam. Mom thought about his name for hours and days, and then she blurted, his name will be Prince, I say. Prince and I spent time playing a lot. We wiggled and jiggled and licked nonstop. We went to the park, we played with our toys, we dressed up in costume and made lots of noise. At night, we cuddled in bed and snuggled on pillows that cradled our heads. Mom said we were special, a family of 3. We created a home for us to be free. Mom looked at me, I looked at her. She rubbed my head and played with my fur. She said a forever home is where we all want to be, where love grows and grows for eternity. Thank you.
Thanks, Joy. Did you hear the rhythm and rhyme in the author's story? It's almost like it had its own poetic feel to it, right? Well, now it's time to brainstorm. So go ahead, get out your notebooks and your pencils because you're gonna get to take notes for your own story character. If you could have any pet in the world, what would it be? Go ahead, grab your journals, and let's write it down. You wanna see what I, the guy, said? A boxer? I, the guy, I'm pretty sure you said that because you just wrote a book about a boxer, but that's okay. All right, let's turn I, the guy's boxer into a fictional story character. Ah, great, the guy says he has an idea. Let's hear it, or read it. A flying boxer, why am I not surprised? Ah, it looks like we have an illustration coming in. I see where your inspiration is coming from, I, the guy. So when creating a fictional story character, we want to go ahead and write down some of the characteristics. They're either going to be physical characteristics or they're going to be more about the personality of the character. So that's a little bit different than physical description. The guy's ready to go with his pencil. So we see that his character is muscular, has brown hair, is fast, and of course flies. And the personality, he's got a big appetite. He's a comedian, of course. He likes to cuddle and he's stubborn, as I think a lot of boxers are in real life. I'm sure Joy could tell us. Now, out of all of the personality traits, which one would you say is kind of a weakness or a flaw for the character? Yeah, being stubborn could definitely be a weakness. Flaws always give us potential when coming up with ideas for the character's problem, though. The guy, now it's time to create a storyboard so that we can put some of our ideas down on paper and organize our thoughts before we get started. The guy, where are you? Oh, okay, there you are. You're juggling. Awesome. There you are again. How are there 2 of you? The guy. Okay, can we get serious? All right, storyboards. These are an excellent tool when you're in the brainstorming stages of writing a story and coming up with characters. We're gonna just do a mini version here. So we'll start with character. Let's make sure our setting is included. We wanna make sure that we don't forget about any secondary characters. Of course, we have to include the problem, which means we need a solution. Okay, the guy, it's time to name your boxer character. You already have one, Brady. I see you're using alliteration. You've got B and B. So where does Brady the boxer's story take place? The park. I'm gonna go ahead and ask now, but what do you see Brady doing in your head at the beginning of the story? Brady is wearing his owner's new red high heel shoe in his favorite hole. Okay, well, you did say he is a comedian and stubborn, so way to stay consistent there. Now it's time to bring in some secondary characters. So let's see what kind of sidekick you're gonna come up with, the guy. Hamster named Squirt. The villain is a pigeon named Larry. This keeps getting better and better. All right, let's just jot down a sentence or 2 about a potential problem in the story. Now remember, at this stage, it's pretty short and sweet. When you really get into the writing, you're gonna wanna develop this a little bit more. And for everyone at home, go ahead and copy this storyboard, even with the guy's examples, or you can fill in your own character with your own notes and ideas. You're gonna spend more time at this later after we get through though. All right, let's see what you've got, the guy. Brady was supposed to be watching Squirt at the park, but got distracted by food, a turkey leg, of course. Squirt climbed up to the top of the swing set again, and was too scared to jump down. Larry, in the nearby tree, threatened to, you know what, ew, I the guy, if Squirt doesn't get down. Okay, this is a good start. Let's see what you have for your solution. Brady is already in trouble for wearing high heels, but if he loses his owner's precious hamster, he'll be in the doghouse, literally, which means he can't cuddle. Oh, I almost forgot about that. He flies to Squirt's rescue. This storyboard will definitely help all of us start writing our stories. All right, everyone, let's get up and stretch and move around so we can get the blood flowing. The guys, show them how to do it. Let's move those arms. Maybe in a circle, depends on what your flexibility is. Maybe pump them a little bit. Yeah, the guy, do you think you can do some jumping jacks? All right, everybody, just move a little bit before we move on to the next lesson. Thanks, the guy.
Hi, my name is Grace and I'm from Houston, Texas, and today I am going to be reading my poem, One Nation, from the 10th iWRITE anthology. I wrote this poem based on the principles of democracy that America was founded on and for all that it can aspire to be for all of its citizens. The rising morning rays paint a portrait in the sky with many different colored stripes, yet one banner flying high. A declaration of the freedom for all created man gives meaning to the purpose of this newborn land. The sun begins to rise till it hangs centered in the blue and smiles on the nation shining in its view. The crowded streets of New York, the sandy LA shores, encompass in one people over which our eagle soars. Many different peoples with their own identities, and together with one heart, from all the shining seas, we build a world within a world, one voice though many sing, and together we're made stronger so that freedom will forever ring.
Thank you, Grace, for your message of positivity and ultimately a connection to all. You know, we encourage everyone at home to write, whether it be a story or a poem or a song, or maybe you want to draw something. And that's exactly what we're going to do next with illustrator Ryan Shaw. Anybody want to take a wild guess what kind of animal character he's going to draw today? I can't wait to find out.
Hello, illustrator Ryan Shaw here once again, and today we are going to draw a boxer dog. We're going to draw this guy right here, and I drew this dog earlier just as a practice one, and we're going to draw actually on a new page together so we can follow along. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, now that you have your paper and your pencil ready, go ahead and lightly sketch a circle shape. Remember, always press down super light when you're drawing it first. And see, I'm adding the neck and the shoulders and the muzzle. Adding a little line across to keep the eyes on the same path. The ears are kind of a triangle shape. The nose is an oval. I erased a little bit because I didn't like that shape. That's why it's so important to draw light. Now I'm adding the eyes, just some smaller circles. Kind of sculpting it as I go when I sketch. Now I'm adding the mouth details in, giving the dog a nice smile. Seeing that? And I'm adding the folds in the ear. Now I'm going back into the eyes and kind of adding the pupil spots. Now I'm lightly adding in a pattern shape. As you see, we're going to color this dog. Yes, we're going to color for the first time on these lessons. And I'm adding the pattern to where I'm going to place the colors. It's going to be three colors. And we're actually going to use 2 because the page is already white. Now right here what I'm doing is I'm adding ink lines. I'm just tracing over my pencil lines that I sketched. You can use a marker, a pen. There's all kinds of tools you can use. This is a brush pen. It's really cool. It takes a little practice to learn. But your lines look really sharp when you do this kind of inking. So just fill in the details. You can even go over it with your pencil. Make the lines a little darker once you like what you sketched out. And as we did with other videos, you just lightly erase any stray lines you don't like. I'm leaving my lines here just because this is a quick lesson. But what's really cool with marker or pen like this is that you can erase any of your extra pencil lines that kind of pop out from the main black lines, and your marker or pen lines will stay on. So it's really cool. And that's why it's so important to draw super light. Now what you see here is I'm coloring in the pupils, but I'm leaving a little white space just to show the reflection, the light bouncing off, to show that it's shiny. Same thing for the nose, and I'm adding the little dots for whisker lines. Now I'm going to use these really cool markers. They're called chameleon markers, but you can use any kind of colored markers for this exercise. It's easy. You can use crayons, colored pencils, whatever you prefer to color with. And now I'm just filling in this lighter brown. There's 3 colors. There's going to be a dark brown coming up too. I love to draw, and I'm glad that I'm drawing with you all. And just to let you guys know, I draw every day. I've been doing it every day for most of my life. I love to do it. It's my favorite thing. My earliest memories are 2nd and 3rd grade, drawing my favorite cartoon characters, drawing comics of my own, and it's just my favorite thing to do, and I'm glad to share it with you guys. And see there, now I'm using the darker brown for the ears, and then we're gonna make a mask basically around the eyes and the muzzle. And we're just about done with our boxer dog. I hope you had fun with this lesson. And remember, we're gonna get through this. So most important of all, stay safe, but also stay creative, and we'll see you on the next lesson. Good job, guys. And if you like, go ahead and sign your drawing at the bottom. Until next time.
I could watch Ryan draw all day. For more how to draw videos and creative writing lessons, or even to enter our annual publishing contest, be sure to visit us online at www.iWRITE.org. And we've had so much fun today. So stay creative and keep reading, writing, and drawing. Bye.